On today's show, what a homestand for the Ottawa Senators.
And we've got a weekend preview, games up against the New York Islanders and the New Jersey Devils.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Today is Friday, April 10th, and Pillsy, let me take you a week ago when we said this is a make or break homestand. Safe to say they made their hay.
Yeah, I mean, oh, nice little rhyme there. Yeah, that was about as good as that homestand could have gone. And you look at the teams it's up against, like beating Tampa, beating Carolina. And I know it's the Florida Panthers that had basically every single player injured, but that's still a team that has your number. And they took care of you not too long ago in Florida. So getting that revenge is nice. And it puts the Ottawa Senators in a great spot with 94 points still sitting comfortably. Not too comfortably, but you're sitting in that second wildcard spot in the East.
And we'll get into playoff clinching scenarios later on in the show. Plus, the first of the two games this weekend are against a team chasing you in the New York Islanders. And doesn't that just make it even more critical? I know it wasn't on this homestand, it was the last one, but getting that late goal against the Islanders, keeping them to no points that game, sure looks nice now. Almost as nice as it was to be in the crowd this past homestand for the Ottawa Senators. We can go on and wax poetically about how well the team played, how well Linus Ullmark played. And you look at what this team had energy-wise from the fans. I think they deserved the first star of the homestand. They were incredible all 5 games long.
Sens fans, best in class. And the players showed that they were appreciative. All the different first stars from Brady to Jake to Fabian Zetterlund, giving props to the fans at the CTC and having that echoed back to them as they gave them a lot to be excited about. Sure, the fans were great, but the Ottawa Senators did a great job of keeping them excited, keeping that crowd going. And Ross, we got a mix of Go Sens Go, a goal scored during a Go Sens Go chant, and we got more We Want Playoff chants. So that crowd is buzzing. They're ready. And there's only one more regular season game at the CTC. And I got to think that that's going to be a lively atmosphere at the last game of the season, too.
We also need to give some stick taps to Linus Ullmark. Starts all 5 games on this homestand, goes 4-1 with a .913 save percentage. I mean, my goodness, this guy, he kept them in the second period. They were sloppy in yesterday's game, a 5-1 win over the Florida Panthers, but he had to be big. You mentioned in the postcast, but I think it's worth repeating. The glove save he made going left to right and then cross body, making the save, unreal on Gustav Forsling. He was dialed in from the puck drop. And it's just, for me, the team has confidence and belief in what they're doing. But when they're getting saves early in the game, which wasn't the case when things were bad, it just gives them even more confidence to do what they need to do. It's truly incredible to see how cohesive this entire team has become, because it would have been easy to fall apart at the seams when they felt they were doing everything right, but not getting the results that they needed to push into a playoff spot earlier. But better late than never, and the Senators really control their own destiny. The playoff odds are up to 90+%, and they just have to get 3 points the rest of the way in these remaining games, or have teams below them falter like we saw Columbus do last night. They put 37 shots on goal, but could not get even one past the Buffalo Sabres. But let's focus in on this homestand as a whole, because we covered last night's game in depth on the postcast. You can check that out wherever you get your podcast. But Pillsy, do you have like a first star of the homestand if we were going to give out an award going back to last Thursday for the Sens and the games against Buffalo, Minnesota, Carolina, Tampa, and Florida, putting them all together? Who stood out the most for you on this team?
Yeah, I do have a first star, and that's the captain, Brady Tkachuk. I mean, when you look at just the last, well, no, I'll include all the games. He gets an assist in Buffalo. No points up against Mini, but there's only 1 goal late in that game. 2 goals up against the Carolina Hurricanes. 4 assists, a career high number of assists in a single game for Brady. And then he also gets 1 assist up against the Florida Panthers. So for me, Brady Tkachuk is the first star of this homestand, and you need your leader to lead in big moments. And I think it's fair to say in 4 games, 3, 7, 8 points in 4 games, 2 points per game pace. That's a pretty good way to lead a hockey team.
Yeah, I like how you left out the game. He had no points, but I still love it overall.
No, it's part of it. I mentioned it. It's
but that's not 2 points per game, then 8 points in 5 games.
On average.
No, it's 1.6.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Please reset the clock on Pilsy being a mathematician. But I will say this. The Ottawa Senators had 5 players at a point per game or better during this homestand. Yeah. How sneaky was Dylan Cousins? 5 points in 5 games.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that he was up there.
Drake Batherson, 5 points in 5 games, and the Lottery Boys all had more than a point per game. 6 in 5 for Timmy, 5 in 4 for Jake Sanderson, and 1.6 points per game for the captain, Brady Tkachuk. I mean, the leaders have to be the guys to get you into the playoffs. Depth is great, and Ottawa's had their fair share of depth scoring on this homestand as well. You look at Fabian Zetterlund, 3 goals, Shane Pinto, 3 goals, Claude Giroux, 2, both into an empty net, but they all count. It was the big dogs that came and said, hop on my back, let's go and get into a playoff spot.
Yeah, and then we already touched on it, but Linus Ullmark is a big part of that too, so he deserves some love as well. So yeah, when this team's getting production from their stars, depth scoring,
power
goaltending,
play,
and I was going to say, not just power play, Ross, special teams in general has been like, there's not a single area that I can point to where this team has struggled on this homestand. They checked every single box.
And they had great third periods all the way through. I know the Minnesota game was out of reach by then, but still, they pushed in the third period there. And overall, they pulled away in the Carolina game and the Tampa game in the third period. And bouncing back after such a disappointing second period where Linus had to bail them out against the Panthers, they bounced back in the third there. So I'm in awe of the Ottawa Senators right now. I really am. Like, I went back and shout out to Johnny, who commented on my YouTube short from after the January 10th loss to the Panthers. I was crashing out. I looked like I hadn't slept in 25 years, and it was just rock bottom. That was around the time you clicked the panic button, and then everything turned around. So all the credit in the world goes to the guys in that locker room for taking the white noise, shoving it in the garbage, and saying, no, we are a really good hockey team, and we're going to go out and prove it time and time again. The job's not done, though, Pilsy. That's what I keep having to remind myself, because it's easy to get caught up in the emotion of having a team that can consistently rack up wins, but they're not there yet. They're not there with that pretty X next to their name. They still have work to do, and we're going to see if they can accomplish that this weekend against the Islanders and the Devils.
Ross, I thought you were going to say all the credit in the world goes to me for properly timing my panic button pressing. But yeah, sure, we can give credit to the 25 best friends that did the work on the ice. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, 25 best friends on the ice and 18,000 best friends in the arena. What are you hoping the Senators can bring from their home games onto the road with them?
I'll stick to the special teams because that's a big part of them having success on this homestand. And it's not just the power play and then the penalty kill is terrible, or it's not just the penalty kill figures it out and then the power play is terrible. Like, I feel like we've kind of become used to, not just throughout this year, but throughout the last couple seasons with the Sens. They figured both out at the same time, and that is a sign of a really good team. And we're going to look at it, but the New York Islanders, not a very good team on the power play. However, they are a good team on the penalty kill. So let's see that power play be able to beat yet another good penalty killing team. They did it against Tampa. They did it against Carolina. And there's no reason why, in my mind, they can't do it up against the New York Islanders as well. And then when you look at a power play that's struggling, keep that PK strong. So key to the weekend for me is going to be keep a really solid special teams unit going forward.
Yeah, the Senators have killed off 7 of their last 8 penalties, which is just so critical at this time of year. My key for the weekend, and it'll get into something that we saw on this homestand and really ever since the Florida game. But if you take out that Florida game, I think they've been doing a good job of this basically since they turned the season around. The biggest issue for me early on in the season and how games would get away from them is if they gave up the first goal, chances are they were going to give up the second goal of the game as well. Even when they give up a goal in a game now, it feels like they answer right away. Like Buffalo went up 1-0. They score on the power play 5 minutes later. You look at the game against Carolina. They open the scoring. What does Ottawa do? It was not even 2 minutes later. They come back and tie it. It feels like they're not allowing themselves to get behind the 8 ball too far where they can't come back, make a push, and get back into the game. Obviously, I have to keep saying asterisks on the Florida game, complete debacle down in South Florida, but they bounce back. And to lose against the Lightning and the Panthers in South Florida and then come back and beat them both, that's got to be such a rejuvenating feeling, being like, hey, even the teams that beat us, we can still beat them too.
Yeah, Ross, I think I made a mistake. I should have done my bachelor party in the nation's capital and saw the Sens play Tampa and Florida in Ottawa. So that's a big mistake on my part. And especially with our boots on the ground record, they might have won those games by even more.
Especially the boots on the ground record at the CTC. And the Sens boots on the ground record, skates on the ice record in Ottawa is incredible of late. Sure, they go 4-1 on this homestand, but if you go back, like March 11th was their second last regulation loss in Ottawa. They've been an electric team at home. They're 6-1-1 in their last 8 games at the Canadian Tire Center. So you love to see that. And now they'll pack their bags and head to Long Island, where our Jack Richardson will be boots on the ground. The guy woke up this morning just sweating Sens. He said, I need to go see them in person. And he booked a flight. He will be there on Long Island tomorrow afternoon. So no live streams this weekend. However, we'll try to get some Jack content for you, whether it's boots on the ground reports and or more, as we dial in to another back-to-back on the weekend. We know the Senators love working on weekends. That time and a half hits like crack. And oh my goodness, this could be the one that confirms a playoff spot. Playoff clinching scenarios are next. Then we'll wrap up with a full weekend preview. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Quo. Spring is a natural reset point. And if there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communication. Missed calls, scatter texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number, so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. Everything comes in one clean thread. Calls, texts, voicemail, the whole team sees the whole conversation, so nothing falls through the cracks. And the AI summary saves serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. So make this the season where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's QUO.com/lockedonnhl. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen each and every day and helping the Locked On Podcast Network become the #1 sports podcast network. You already make us your team every day, so go ad-free and join the Everydayers Club. It will go right to wherever you listen to podcasts. You'll get ad-free content as well as access to members-only Discord chat. The boys are buzzing in the chat of late as the Senators are pulling themselves off the mat and into playoff contention. Pilsy, how the hell are we going to get that X next to our name?
I mean, it starts with the win on Long Island. That's the big one right here, because obviously The sooner you get points, the better. But this is the final game of the regular season where you're up against a team that's still in the playoff race. Other two teams, New Jersey, Toronto, already got that E beside them. They're eliminated. But if you can beat the New York Islanders, and if you could beat them in regulation, that goes a long way to helping your chances here. The magic number is 3. So if you get 2 of those 3 points right off the bat and keep one of those other teams down, you're putting yourself in a really good position here. And you want to be good up against good teams. The Ottawa Senators have been doing that up against great teams, not just good teams. Like Tampa, Carolina, Buffalo are some of the best teams in the East, some of the best teams in the NHL. So to be able to beat them, you got to be confident you can go. Now, those were all at home, but you got to be confident you can go on the road and do it up against a good team as well.
Senators right now are 20, 15, and 4 on the road this season. A respectable road record for sure. And they've cleaned up the home record too. So they're in a good spot. And any type of win against the Islanders will clinch Ottawa to be ahead of the Islanders. That's where the Red Wings would then come into play. But the Islanders would have to be perfect, and Ottawa would have to go winless. They would have to get more than 1 point to be able to stay ahead of them. It's the Red Wings who are still a problem. They're 3 points behind Ottawa. Both teams have 3 games remaining, and the Red Wings just called up a third-string goalie under emergency circumstances. Their heart, soul, best player all year, John Gibson, is questionable for tomorrow's game. The Islanders are taking on the New Jersey Devils tomorrow night. So Ottawa playing the Devils on Sunday, the Red Wings playing the Devils tomorrow. Going to be fascinating to see how they do, because again, they have to be pretty much perfect to even have a chance to make the playoffs. So any combination of 3 points earned by Ottawa or 3 points failed to earn by Detroit or the Islanders or the Blue Jackets, and it will be a wrap for the Ottawa Senators to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I would really like to see them win this game up against the Islanders, make your playoff chances that much better. And then we've been saying it, but it's so important to be able to have that X beside your name before the final game of the regular season.
Yeah, and I mean, don't even bring that up. I can't even think about what it would be like, because the Leafs stink. Like, I watched some of their game 2 games ago, and I mean, they sucked last night as well, but like they're brutal.
Yeah.
But anybody, it's the National Hockey League, and you know they would be motivated, game 82, to really give the Senators fits. But let's just not worry about that. There's 2 games before then. You win both on the weekend, and it's guaranteed. You control your own destiny by far. You even have room for a 1-0-1 weekend. And the Ottawa Senators, historically under Travis Green, on back-to-backs on the weekend, are elite. This season, the Senators are 8-2-2. They've played 6 sets of weekend back-to-backs, 8-2-2 in 12 games. Incredible. Even under Travis Green last year and this year combined, they're 26-4 in 30 games, 15 sets of weekend back-to-backs. They're an elite team when it comes to working weekends, so we're hoping that trend will continue. Pilsy, we mentioned Linus Ullmark playing all 5 games on this homestand. What's your thoughts on how Ottawa should divvy up the goaltending duties this weekend?
I mean, obviously, you play Linus Ullmark tomorrow.
Okay. I didn't know if it was obvious. He's played 5 games in a row. He started 6 games in a row.
You thought I was going to say Reimer tomorrow?
I mean, Reimer beat the Islanders last time they played in Ottawa.
No. Linus Ullmark starts tomorrow, 1,000%. And then I think you got to play him Sunday too, because like you can't clinch tomorrow. You need another point or another 2 points.
You can clinch if you win in regulation and Detroit loses, you're in.
Right. Sorry. I should have been paying attention to the Locked On Senators podcast 5 minutes ago when we talked about that. But I want Linus Ullmark starting tomorrow, and then based on that, you go from there. It would be great to have a scenario where Linus doesn't have to play after that, and then you just give James. Well, I don't know if you want to do that either, because you don't want Ullmark to not have played in quite a while. So I don't know. Let's just win tomorrow with Ullmark in the net and go from there, because there's a couple different ways you could slice this.
Shout out Linus Ullmark as well. He is the Ottawa Senators nominee for the King Clancy Award. Every team has a nominee for this, just like they do for the Bill Masterton, which Linus Ullmark was also nominated for here. The King Clancy Award is it goes to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and who has made a significant humanitarian contribution to their community. So a very prestigious award there. Alexander Barkov got the win last year. Anders Lee the year before. I'm just looking. And the last Ottawa Senator to win this award was Daniel Alfredsson in the 2011-2012 season. Over his 15 seasons with the Senators, Alfredsson has contributed to many local charities and causes, becoming a staple in the community. Alfie is the only Senators player to win the award.
Damn, would have been a good time to keep a guy like that around.
Yeah. I mean, he played one more season with the Sens after that, and I think he won the Mark Messier Leadership Award that season.
Oh, my God.
As well. What year did Alfie win the Leadership Award? Yeah, Alfie's last season. He won Best Leader in the NHL.
Cool.
Got to get rid of him.
Cool.
What an absolute joke. Those times are gone, though, Pills.
Alfie's here now, Ross. Alfie's here now.
Alfie's here now. He's on the bench. It's sometimes I have to remind myself about that. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, we let that slip by a little too often, that our Hall of Famer, the best player in franchise history, is an assistant coach for this team. It's huge.
One of only 3 Hall of Famers behind an NHL bench right now. And that's because the 4th just got fired by the team the Sens are about to play. I'll let you know a little trivia. Who are the 3 NHL coaches right now who are in the Hockey Hall of Fame? We'll answer that and get to our weekend preview next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. Welcome back, Locked On Senators, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Pilsy, do you know the answer to who the 3 Hall of Famers are behind NHL benches right now?
Where's the chat when I need them? The chat was absolutely bailing us out at the end of last postcast with our math and trivia questions. Daniel Alfredsson.
Correct.
Martin St. Louis.
Correct.
And I do not know the third one.
The third one was an assistant coach, left, and then came back this year. Does that give it away? I have one more hint if you don't have it yet. One of the best defensemen of all time. Canadian team. Played for that same Canadian team. Paul Coffey with the Edmonton Oilers. There you go. Those are the 3 Hall of Famers, because Patty Waugh got fired with 4 games left. And that brings us to the New York Islanders, who are now under the leadership of Pete DeBoer. They get a 5-3 win in their first game with him behind the bench. But asterisk, it is against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, the Islanders had 4 days off after their 4th loss in a row, and that's when they made the coaching change. So Pete DeBoer had a little bit of a test run, training camp type thing. Yeah. But I wonder, at this time of the year, like, how much are you trying to teach versus how much are you just trying to get everybody's confidence up and say, hey, give the puck to Matthew Schaefer and let him do his thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar situation to Vegas, right? Like, Vegas didn't bring in John Tortorella to be like, all right, let's change up these X's and O's. Let's bring analytics. Let's change all this. No, Tortorella and Pete DeBoer are very similar coaches in the way that these guys are master motivators. And both these franchises, Vegas Islanders, looked at their teams and was like, we're not getting everything out of these guys right now. Maybe we need a different voice in the room. So you bring in those guys at the end of the year. And Tortorella even said it, I'm not going to change much. And Bruce Cassidy left this team in a good spot for me. It's just about, all right, new voice, new motivation, change, shake up the locker room, wake guys up, and you hope that works. And I mean, again, they played the Leafs last night, but that's a pretty dominant performance from the New York Islanders. So you would think that Pete DeBoer got them going there.
Analytically, the Islanders have struggled this season. They have relied on elite goaltending. If you look at goals saved above expected, which we know takes into account the quality of shot, Ilya Sorokin is second behind only Logan Thompson for most goals saved above expected. 27.2, Pilsy. It's absolutely ridiculous how good Ilya Sorokin is. The Islanders still struggle to score, though. They have a 2.87 goals for per game, identical to their goals against per game, and that's including having the fourth best team save percentage in the entire National Hockey League. The Islanders, they've got a great penalty kill as well at 81.1%. The power play is brutal, down at 17.2. Ottawa has a distinct advantage when it comes to the 5-on-5 shot quality, possession, and the shot quality that they have. This is a game the Senators are going to be heavy favorites in, despite being on the road.
Yeah, agree. And I know I said a key to victory for the weekend, but a key to victory for just up against the Islanders is use your speed. The New York Islanders have been kind of a slow and older team. And Ross, what did they say they had to do? Let's bring in a 34-year-old Braden Shen and a 35-year-old Andre Palat. That's what we need right now. So they got older and slower, in my opinion. Not to put too much shade on either of those guys, but this is a team where obviously Matthew Schaefer, different story, but I think you can use your speed to an advantage for sure.
Yeah, and Matthew Schaefer is one of a kind, generational talent rookie, and looking forward to following his entire career. Here's how the Islanders are projected to line up for tomorrow's game. Again, it's a 1 o'clock start time, so note the start time. It's going to be bright and early, right? You get up, you get ready for the game, no waiting all day, and then it's either the best night or the worst night because you're watching the other games that happen later, and you're either in a really good spot or you're hoping that other teams can do you a favor. It's a TSN 5 game as well. Love those on the matinee weekends. Don't have to worry about having the national coverage split their coverage for all the games. You can have a legitimately Senators-focused panel at intermissions and everything else. Okay, here's the Islanders' projected lines. Bo Horvat at center between Anders Lee and Simon Holmstrom. Second line is Matthew Barzal between Braden Shen and Cal Ritchie. Third line, Jean Gabriel Pajot with Maxine Shabanov and Emil Heineman on his wings. And the fourth line, Casey Cizikas with Andre Palat and Mark Gatcomb. On the back end, Matthew Schaefer with Ryan Pulock, Adam Pelech with Tony DeAngelo, Carson Soucy with Scott Mayfield, and you got to expect Ilya Sorokin to start in goal. Pilsy, who are you looking out for on this Islanders team?
Well, first, Ross, I'd like to go ahead and guarantee that Ilya Sorokin will be the goalie in net. This is another Pilsy guarantee, so let's definitely expect to see number 30 for the New York Islanders. Ironically, I know I just said acquiring Braden Shen and Palat, you're getting older and slower, but I will be looking out for Braden Shen, a guy that's come over, and he was struggling before with the St. Louis Blues, not really getting much going, and then coming over to the Islanders, got him some new life in 16 games, 11 points in that time, 6 goals, 5 assists, even had a goal up against the Ottawa Senators in their previous game. Mixed results for the team since he's been here, 8-8, but that is a guy that I think brings a certain element to this top 6, and I'm going to be looking out for him.
Yeah, and it's always curious to see certain guys, how they adjust when a new coach comes in. I know Barzal's played a ton of wing this year, but he's back at center, and he's got Shen as a winger who can take draws as well. So I think that'll help him out. And he's a guy who has the speed element of his game that not a whole lot of guys on this roster have.
And ironically, like, there was so much talk about the Islanders and Blues were in the same hotel on the trade deadline day, and Elliot Friedman kind of waxed poetically, being like, Patrick Waugh is a big reason why Braden Shen is here. He wasn't going to take no for an answer. He convinced him to join this team. Patrick Waugh's already gone like a couple games later. So that's got to be interesting for Braden Shen to have that change up so quickly.
And some more irony here as we talk about the Islanders being a slow team as a whole. Only 5 defensemen in the NHL this season have 10 or more speed bursts of 35 kilometers an hour or higher. Okay. And
no
two of them are in the teens. Okay. Erik Karlsson has 19 bursts and Broberg has 11. We're going to witness the 2 fastest defensemen in the NHL going head to head here. Matthew Schaefer has 33 bursts of 35 kilometers an hour or faster, and Jake Sanderson is second with 31.
Yeah, I mean, I my statement stands. Matthew Schaefer is an obvious outlier there. He's
for sure.
He's half the age of the guys I mentioned, approximately half. Not a math guy. So that's fair. I'm aware of that.
33 for Schaefer, 31 for Sanderson, and third is Cale Makar with 24. Like these guys are head and shoulders above the competition, which brings me to my lookout player. It would be remiss not to discuss Matthew Schaefer when you're talking about the Islanders. What a rookie season. He just broke, who was it? Was it Brian Leach. He broke Brian Leach's record for most goals by a rookie defenseman. He's got 23 goals this year, Pilsy.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. He's 18 all year. He turns 19 in September. What he's doing offensively is outrageous. He's got 59 points on the season, and he's a plus 16. We often see rookie defensemen, even when they're putting up some points, they struggle in their own end. But this guy, he's one of a kind.
Yeah. And
it's going to be fun to watch and see what he can do. He does have a goal and an assist in 2 games against the Ottawa Senators, and what he has accomplished. He got a goal last night, and he's playing so much. 24-39 is his time on ice per game. I'm just pulling up the overall NHL standings because he's got to be, he's 12th in the league in time on ice per game. Jake Sanderson's 8th. So buckle up. You got 2 of the best young defensemen in the National Hockey League going head to head. And if the Islanders are going to win this game, Matthew Schaefer's fingerprints are going to be all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the worst part too is he's such a likable kid. Like he's so funny in interviews. He's quick. He kind of acts like he belongs, which obviously he does. But for an 18-year-old in the NHL to have that confidence and to be able to back it up as a defenseman is truly amazing. And anyone that didn't have him as their first overall prospect is like, what are you doing?
To be fair, he played 17 games last season. Like that's the fact that he missed that critical time in his development, let alone what he's doing now. I just think it's remarkable, and it should be celebrated. He's the no doubt Calder Trophy winner. And is it crazy to say that he should get like some 5th place Hart votes? Like what he's changed the entire franchise. They would obviously have to get into the playoffs for that to happen. And many.
So yes, it would be crazy.
Yeah. And many would point to Ilya Sorokin and saying, well, Sorokin stopped 27 more goals than were to be expected to go in. So
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. But Matthew Schaefer also pretty good. You know who else is pretty good? Your Ottawa Senators. Here's how we expect them to line up tomorrow on Long Island. Tim Stützle between Drake Batherson and Claude Giroux. Dylan Cousins with Brady Tkachuk and Ridley Gregg. Shane Pinto centering Nick Cousins and Michael Amadio. Lars Eller between Warren Fogle and the all of a sudden red hot Fabian Zetterlund. On the back end, Jake Sanderson with Artem Zub, Thomas Chabot with Jordan Spence, Lassie Thompson with Nicholas Matenpalo, and we're saying that Linus Ullmark starting in goal, but it will be confirmed tomorrow. It's a travel day, full day off today for the Ottawa Senators. Do you want to do a locked on player for both games, the weekend? How do you want to do it?
Well, both games and the weekend, same thing, I believe.
I meant both games individually. Like, do you want a different one for each game, or do you want to just have one guy you're focused on for the entirety of it?
Gotcha. Fair. You know what? I'll go with both games and individually with the same guy. So all of the above, Ross, is my answer there. Has the allure of Claude Giroux playing matinee games and getting points worn off? Because I feel like we've been saying that, but maybe LOSB stats department can get on it. I don't know if that trend has been going, but I
got a goal against Carolina. Does 5 o'clock count?
Yeah. Well, I'll count 5 o'clock. Yep.
Okay.
And Ross, double whammy. What's the other part of Claude Giroux we always look for? Normally, it's up against the Flyers. Well, face-offs, but Metro teams in general. This guy's played a lot of games up against Metro teams, and the New York Islanders are the second, other than the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sorry, I think I said Flyers. I meant the Penguins. Penguins, he has 78 points. The New York Islanders are the second team he has the most points up against in his career with 73 points in 75 games. He's basically a point per game guy up against them in almost a full season sample size worth throughout his career. 26 goals, 47 assists. And I wouldn't mind seeing Claude Giroux score a goal on a goalie. His last 2 goals, both empty netters. Nothing wrong with that. Get your cookies when you can. You got to score those goals to ice the games. Totally fine. But scoring a goal up against a goalie when you're on the top line with the 2 top point getters of the team, Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson, would be great. But also, I want to give a shout out to Claude Giroux, 6th on the team in points, 46 points in 79 games, but a plus 20 and still snapping it back 62.6% of the time on the faceoffs is absolutely incredible. So he will be my locked on player for the entire weekend.
What a Sens career for Claude Giroux. Like, this is 4th season now in Ottawa, and I know that the points dipped from the start to now, but like, he's on pace to pretty much match his point totals from last season, almost to the T. He's got 14 goals this year. He had 15 last year. He's got 46 points now, had 50. So let's get him 4 points in the last 3 games, and let's get cooking. Although if Ottawa's lucky enough to get that X next to his name, their name, you wonder if Giroux, who has an X at the end of his name, will be a scratch like he was at the end of last season.
Yeah.
By the way, still the only game he's missed as a member of the Ottawa Senators. I think his durability and his leadership cannot be overstated.
Shout out Tony Greco.
Shout out Tony, and shout out the Sens medical and fitness team.
Yeah,
those guys have these boys dialed in, because the way that Ottawa defends in 3 zones, that's a demanding way to ask your team to play, and they've been able to be consistent with it all the way through. So big fan of that as a locked on player for the weekend. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to do a player for each game because I have a couple stats in my back pocket. For the Islanders game, we're taking the Long Island boy, Shane Pinto, who has set a career high in goals with his empty netter against Tampa. He got his 22nd goal of the season. That surpasses the 21 that he got last season. He's got 43 points, which is 6 above his career high. So he's already there. And I just feel like for Ottawa to be at their best going into the playoffs, Pinto, we know he's amazing defensively, but he needs to be a contributing, consistent member offensively for this team and give them another wave, that third line wave that Ottawa can use to their advantage when games get tough. And we know that he's going to have friends and family in the crowd. The Pinto crew in the years past, they get on the TV and they are buzzing. In his career against the Islanders, he's got 5 points in 8 games, 3 goals. So would love to see Shane Pinto put on a show for his hometown team. And then when we go to New Jersey, it's all eyes on Drake Batherson for me, fella. Drake Batherson set a career high in points with his goal last night, 69. He had 68 last year, 66 the year before, 62 the year before that. So he's climbing, and we would love to see him get to 35 goals. I know it's a tall task. You need 3 more, but we also know that Drake Batherson scores in bunches. So can Drake Batherson get onto the score sheet this weekend? It would go a long way. And the reason why I chose the Devils for him is he's got 15 points in 14 career games against New Jersey. He's got great numbers. We remember we were boots on the ground for his OT winner in Ottawa, where he dangled the defenseman out of the NHL. I think Ty Smith was the guy he went around there. Haven't heard of him in a while, but my goodness, wouldn't it be nice? And we got guys now kind of scattered throughout the lineup, if you will, on our locked on list for the weekend. Of course, it's going to come down to goaltending though, and we know that that's going to be the very biggest key for Ottawa here going into the weekend. Meaningful games, Pilsy. We've been begging for it for months, and it feels like now, basically since mid-January, you can go back to that Vancouver game where they dominated but only got a 2-1 win at home. Since then, this team has been playing playoff games. And I heard something. I wish I could give credit to who it was. Oh, it was Paul Maurice. We were listening to him this morning, and he actually had a great comment about the Ottawa Senators. And he referenced when Florida snuck into the playoffs as the 8th seed and made it to the Stanley Cup final. That was the year they lost to Vegas. But he said, when you're in that push to try to make the playoffs, it's a nervous energy that you come to the rink with every day. But then if you can get in, that turns to excited energy where you also have the confidence that you've built by winning those close games and winning when it matters, when your back's up against the wall, and it can get you into hyperdrive for the next set. So that's something I'm going to be watching for here, because that nervous energy remains. I don't care if it's a 99% chance that they're going to make the playoffs. You have to earn points. They are not in a position to take their foot off the gas. So that nervous energy has to still be there, but can they turn that into the happy-go-lucky energy that you can then take into a playoff series with you?
Well, there's something to be said for that, Ross, that Warriors mentality battling to get into the playoffs, because you look at it, I saw a graphic today saying a President's Trophy winner hasn't won the Stanley Cup since, I believe it was the Chicago Blackhawks 2012, 2013, or one of those Blackhawks teams. Like, getting into the playoffs and having your team clinch so early obviously is a good thing. It means you're having a good season. It means you're guaranteed to get in. You're guaranteed home ice the whole way if you make it the whole way. But there's something to be said about battling to get in there. And then when you get in there, you're not just complacent like, oh, deep breath, we made it. Whatever happens, happens. You're like, no, we busted our asses off to get in here. We're not just going to settle for just being happy to be here. Like, especially now that you're not a team that just snapped a playoff drought. Like, you were just here last year. A lot of these guys got their first taste of playoff experience. So now you got that in your back pocket. You understand what it's like. And now you feel like you've earned the opportunity to push yourself even further. So the Senators are in a really good spot, battling to get in, having great analytics, good goaltending, good special teams, getting depth scoring. The star players are playing well. They're getting guys back from injury. Like, all things are pointing towards the Ottawa Senators being a dangerous team beyond the regular season.
Pillsy, will you allow me to get ahead of myself for my final thought on today's show?
You know what, Ross? I'll allow it.
So the Ottawa Senators, let's say they get an overtime loss on Long Island. They get 1 point. The Ottawa Senators would then have an opportunity with a win to clinch a playoff spot in the barn that Travis Green was let go from as an interim head coach.
It's true.
I like that storyline. If they could clinch, either way, even if they win against the Islanders. If
I was
going to
say, I'll take a win against the Islanders and then clinching against the Devils with a win there too.
But to clinch against the Devils, and by the way, Travis Green started, I believe, his NHL career with the New York Islanders. So a little trip down memory lane for Travis Green this weekend. One stop as a player, one stop as a coach. But I do think it would be a nice storyline if Travis Green could get it done, because I think he deserves some shine with all the good vibes for the Ottawa Senators right now. And just a final thought about what we were talking about there, about kind of being battle tested and going into the playoffs. Usually when that happens, you're kind of losing guys out of the lineup because everybody's battling so hard. Kind of feels like the Sens are getting healthy at the right time with all their defensemen coming back.
Yeah, definitely. And once again, we need to give credit to Thomas Chabot and the medical staff. The fact that he came back and played yesterday when we thought, okay, if they get into the playoffs and they win a round, maybe he'll be back for round 2 is just crazy. So
yeah,
that's
the
awesome.
Leadership and the boost in the room. Like Jordan Spence was in awe when he was talking about it. He's like,
shocked the world.
I have no idea how he was able to do that. I like how Brady played coy. He's like, yeah, if he gets in, yada, yada, yada. 2 minutes later, Travis Green, yeah, he's in. Amazing stuff there. And enjoy this, Sens fans. You deserve it. You stuck through the mud and had some great conversations on social media today. I mentioned the video that I took in that January game, and people made great points. That makes this that much better.
Yeah.
The fact that you've been through the mud, and Sens fans are like, buddy, been through the mud since January. We've been through the mud since 2018 for the most part. And Ottawa has pulled themselves to a place where they are a respected franchise, or at least they should be, because the Senators are 6th in the NHL in regulation wins this season. And I know that regulation win, overtime win, it's just a tiebreaker difference, but it, to me, signals that they are a legit team. The only teams ahead of them are the President's Trophy winners in the Colorado Avalanche, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Buffalo Sabres, the Carolina Hurricanes, and Ottawa is actually tied with the Dallas Stars in regulation wins with 36. So a lot of credit to go around, man. These are fun shows to do, and we look forward to the postcast tomorrow afternoon to break it all down. I've had 45 final thoughts. Pillsy, do you have any?
No final thoughts for me.
You don't want to talk about the Belleville Sens? Big weekend in Laval?
Nah. The only Belleville Senators news I want to talk about, Ross, is all the call-ups that will hopefully be happening from Belleville on Wednesday.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about that Monday or Tuesday if the time is right. Will the time be nigh for the Ottawa Senators to call up guys for game 82? Carolina's already doing that, and they still won 7-2. Did you see how many guys they left out of the lineup in Chicago?
Undisclosed.
Undisclosed. Have some decorum. At least say rest.
Yeah, come on.
Like rest is easier to type. Islanders Hurricanes PR. They're too busy putting their interviews in the Dropbox.
Yeah, and rest is a weapon. I've never heard anyone say undisclosed is a weapon.
Hilarious though that they did it in Chicago where their farm team is. They're like, hey guys, let's save on travel. Just come on up.
Smart move. I mean, that is a team that's very analytical, so they saved a bunch of dollars doing that.
Yeah. By the way, if they're analytical, their farm team should probably be the Charlotte Checkers in their state. Just saying.
Fair point.
Yeah. Interesting. Strange, even. All right. Thanks so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. Please click the thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcast, and leave a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple. It goes a long way to helping the show grow. We'll chat tomorrow on the postcast. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.